U.S. Medical Supply 24 hours a day. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. Call right now. 800-597-9323.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. Let's be honest. Wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair, the world's lightest wheelchair, is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Doom, 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 doom. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Sorry, this is kind of loud. My name is Angelo Rocha. It's R-O-C-H-A, rhymes just like mocha. A lot of people growing up used to say Rocha. If you're Spanish, it's fine. But anyway, welcome. Hi, everybody. If you're watching now or later, my name is Angelo Rocha once again, and for the 17th time. I am the host of Vet for Vets, a show where I take local Johnson County veterans of all walks of life. Normally it's Johnson County, but I usually go outside as well. And we talk about their life before, during, and after their military service. Today I have somebody special. His name is Sean Goins. He is an Army veteran himself, but today we're going to be doing something different. For the entire month of December, if you're going to tune in, I'm going to put a shout out and call out to family members who want to honor their veteran family member. So their father, grandfather, grandmother, mother, sister, anybody that you have in your family, alive or deceased, if you want to honor them for the next month or probably even two, I want to honor these veterans. I want to let family members discuss their life, not the veteran talking about their life. Now, if you just happen to be a veteran and you still want to discuss your grandfather, your grandmother, or somebody in your family, please reach out to me. Look for me, Angelo Rocha, on all social medias. I'm literally out there. You can message me, say, hey, my name is blah, 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 and I am the father or grandson of this man, and so forth. And you just give me a little backstory, and then eventually in a few weeks, once we have the logistics of it set up, then you and I can actually come on the show together. So right now I am live on Facebook. I am muted. So you can see I'm live. Hey, say hi, Sean.
Hello.
So today's show, I want to honor your grandfather, Sean. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I don't know your grandfather. This is why it's important that you, the actual Army veteran, is as well. After we discuss a little bit about your military service, we can discuss your grandfather. From what you told me, he seemed like an incredible man.
Yeah, he was. He enlisted out of Fort Worth in, I believe, 1970 into the Army. His draft number was getting low, and he said, "You know what? I may as well volunteer." So he went over. Him and my grandmother got married, I believe, right before he went over.
Yeah.
Well, I say over to basic training. He did his basic training at Fort Polk. He was infantry. I also was infantry, 11 Bravo. He was stateside for a while. He got to go to airborne school, I learned. I did not know about that.
Oh
And
wow!
I knew my grandfather.
How'd you find out about that?
My aunt was telling me. And I was like, wait, they got him to jump out of a plane? Because he was terrified of heights. I was like, really?
Hey, I tell you what, the military makes you do some stuff that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we're going to go a little bit more in depth about your grandfather. But in case you're just now tuning in, I'm Angelo Rocha. I'm always going to do it for the whole time because I want people to know who I am. And that way they're not going to be nervous to call me or message me about coming on the show. I'm the host of Vet for Vets. And if you're a veteran out there right now and you're struggling, you're suffering through something, you're going through some issues involving marriage, addictions, financial problems, possibly even homelessness, I just want to let you know that there is a way for you to deal with this in a way that's not ended in yourself taking your own life. A lot of times 20 to 21 to 22 veterans a day take their lives because they feel like they have nowhere to turn. And I'm going to tell you right now, you are selfish. You need to understand that there are people like me and there are people like Sean that will listen to you, that will take your phone call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and actually make you feel better. Now, if I can't fix the problem that you're going through, I can tell you people who you can go to, people who've probably been in the same situation as you. Okay. One of those ways is 988. It's like 911, but it's for first responders, former military, current military. Okay. You can just go. You can just go anywhere on that 988. If you're one of those police officers, go to this number if you're feeling depressed, because there are a lot of police officers that also end up taking their lives. Firemen take their lives. First responders, medics, doctors, nurses. Some of the stuff that they go through, only 1% of Americans go through. And a lot of people don't understand that. And a lot of people they can't comprehend the amount of trauma that these people go through. Once again, if you are a first responder, former military, current military, a police officer, fireman, anything of that nature, where your job is a stressful job, call 988. Okay, so I know I go through depression. I've talked about this on my show. The way I deal with my depression, I don't need a doctor to tell me that I got depression and then give me pills to make me feel better. I know I'm going through depression. I don't need a doctor to tell me that. And the way I deal with it is I stay quiet and I let it pass. Eventually something will happen. My dogs will make me happy. My kids will make me happy. My wife will make a comment to try to cheer me up. She knows when I'm going through depression. She knows when I'm sad. She knows when I'm feeling a little traumatic. Lately, I've been going through these. I don't know how to explain it. I've been going through these like lapses. They call it like looking out in space or dazing off.
1,000-yard stare.
Yeah, the 1,000-yard stare. She says I go through it. I don't know what she's talking about. It literally feels like I'm just staring at something for a second. But she says I was staring for like 5 minutes, which kind of freaks me out because I don't know. I've never been in this situation where I've been in that thing. So you told me your grandfather had a really severe case of PTSD. Yeah. Like, do you know where it stems from and how did he cope?
I'll just tell the full story so you understand what he was going through. He was in Vietnam in the middle of the Tet Offensive. He did multiple tours, and one of those tours, the helicopter he was in got shot down, blown out of the sky by, I believe, an RPG.
Yeah.
He was thrown out, landed, broke his ankle, went unconscious, woke up, grabbed his M16, started fighting, organizing troops. I think he was an E5 at the time, or a sergeant. He had a Bronze Star from the American government, a Bronze Star from the South Vietnamese government after the day, and a Purple Heart. He was also a voluntary tunnel rat. Oh. Yeah, he volunteered to that job. That's how big his balls were.
Yeah. Do you know how dangerous that was back in the day?
Most of those guys did not make it out of those tunnels. We never recovered a lot of those bodies. Yeah, he went in instead. And he told me this when I enlisted: if you're the leader, you go first. And
Yep.
I think that was his mentality. That's probably why he volunteered. He didn't want to send in some kid straight out of high school, so he did it himself.
Yeah, gotcha.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
we are live now. Once again, you're listening to Vet for Vets. If you're just now tuning in, I'm the host, Angelo Rocha, and I'm here with Sean Goins. So in high school, you get out of high school, right? You have no idea where you want to go, what you want to do. Most kids don't. They have no idea. What made you enlist in the Army?
I always knew I was going to join the military. Part of it's patriotism. Partly, I had to pay for college, a mix of things. And I figured, well, if you're going to do it, do you want to be the jock or the jock strap? So I went infantry. I figured, I'm either be an infantry, a tank, or in the artillery.
Yeah.
I told my grandfather what I did. And his exact words to me, "You dumbass."
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
And I enlisted, go to Fort Benning, 11 Bravo, the whole thing. Get your blue cord, your cross rifles.
Gotcha. So where'd you go to AIT?
2019. I got there.
Where at?
Oh, Fort Benning.
Fort
For
Benning?
infantry, it's one station unit training.
That's right. I always forget. Like, for example, I know that all the military police pretty much go to Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri. Our field artillery is Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And I guess Fort Hood, or whatever it's called, Fort something now. It's something else. It's not Fort Hood anymore.
Fort Cavazos?
Cavazos.
Okay, is that the one?
Cavazos.
Yeah, I don't know why they're renaming bases.
Well, if you look into the actual soldier of Cavazos, he was heroic.
Oh, okay, that works then.
Just about as heroic as a man any person can be. But anyway, okay, so I like to deem myself a decent soldier. How do you see yourself as a soldier? Do you think you did good?
Sure. Pass the PT
Come on,
test.
you got to be more positive.
Shoot expert, get into some trouble.
Shot expert.
Yeah, shoot expert. Run fast, shoot great. That's the infantry.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Got to do a lot of fights. You drink, you fight. It's the infantry.
Yeah. And you said you only did 2.5 years. Tell me the story behind that. Like, what happened?
I have really bad knees and a back now. And to be quite frank, I probably shouldn't have enlisted infantry. I come from a family with bad knees and bad backs.
Yeah.
I ended up being diagnosed with lupus shortly after, which is probably why my joints were eroding so quickly under that kind of stress. Turned out not to be a good fit for me. So I got a chapter out because I only had 6 months left in my contract roughly at the time. And a full med board takes like a year. And my company commander and my lieutenant were both like, "You don't need to be here." Our first sergeant was kind of getting pissed off at me because if you're on chapter, you can't do anything. You can't train. You're just lying around. There's no reason to be there. Yeah. And the war was over at this point. We were put out of Afghanistan, or we knew it was coming. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2.5 years. I don't care if you do 6 months. You think about it. You did the 1%. Back in World War II, 14% of Americans volunteered to join the military. 14%, which is an incredible amount of soldiers. Think about the population, how big it was. 14% of that population volunteered to serve in the military. That's about roughly 15 million Americans from around the World War II, from 1939 to 1945. 18 million Americans served in the United States military. Out of those 18 million that served, we only have about 300,000 left. Okay, in Vietnam, we only had 7% of the Americans volunteer. Of course, they're all mostly male.
Yeah. And whatnot.
And right now, I believe it was something like 7 million, 8 million Americans that served during the Vietnam. I believe we have still quite a few, like we're talking about in the millions. We're like 1.2 million Vietnam vets. And then we have our current military state, which has been depleted and destroyed the last 3 years. In case anybody knows my politics about this, the military has been absolutely obliterated. I don't know if you heard the story about this soldier who went on TikTok Live, and he complained that the military was actually trying to force him to pay back all the military gear he was missing.
He was from the 82nd. Yes. He lost gear on a combat deployment.
Yeah, and what's weird is the military purposely left billions of dollars worth of equipment in Afghanistan. They're telling this one soldier who probably doesn't even make more than $55,000 a year to pay back the uniform that he lost or equipment that he lost. That's absolutely bullshit.
I think this is what happens when all the good leaders, all the combat veterans get out because war is over and they see where the institution is going with the current government. So they bail, and you're left with people who are just there to get that pension. And I don't say that to disrespect the soldiers. What I'm saying is we have a lot of political officers and senior level NCOs who are going to be yes men and allow this wokeism to infect the military, to allow bad leadership to infect the military.
Yeah. Have you seen the commercial? It's like I believe it was Russia or one of those communist countries. You have, it's literally a commercial that was made by those Russians where it shows these hardcore military people going on combat missions. They're using tanks. They're using freaking submarines.
It's a real recruitment commercial.
It's a recruitment commercial, right? And you have all these hard-boiled Russian men doing all of these extravagant like missions, destroying things, shooting things, climbing over things, skydiving over things. And then we have here in America, you have some man who thinks it's a woman.
Or Emma and her two moms.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, or they have rainbow stuff on. It's like, really, this is what you want to show the other countries that we're going through? The military is not meant to accommodate those that think there's something else. To me, I'm sorry, but it needs to be treated like it's like an illness. You know, I have a headache. I'm gonna go see a doctor about it. These people just assume whatever's going on in their head is just real, and they're put in positions of power. They don't even know what they are, and they're put in positions where they got to be leaders of soldiers and put their lives at risk.
It's an empty rank.
It is,
yeah, and it's depressing. I'm in the National Guard now, still infantry, and we can't deploy. We don't have the manpower anymore, and everyone who isn't, I'd say E7 or higher, knows why. Yeah. Everyone who's like actually in the unit, we're actually training, drilling. Yeah, we understand why, because we can't recruit because these stupid commercials. You're making it seem like it's like the Boy Scout. Boy Scouts would be an insult.
Yeah, well, the Boy Scouts are filled with girls
too.
Oh
yeah, there you go. Yeah, they make it seem like it's the Boy Scouts. What was it? 6 months ago, the Navy had a drag queen recruiter. You know what I'm talking about?
I know.
Yeah, which that confirms a lot of jokes, by the way.
I know. It's just it's insane. I don't know why the military is doing these things that it's doing, and then they're like they got their hands on their hips going, hey, John, hey, Colonel, hey, General, why is our recruiting down? What do you mean, why is our recruiting down? You're not showing commercials where it's showing dudes blowing shit up and doing things like flying into space. You're not showing them on jets. You're not showing them loading up fucking rounds into the tank and then shooting it into the sky, right? And decimating targets. You're not doing that. You're showing some soldiers of all different backgrounds, just different races and different genders, all talking about pool and talking about how fun it is to be in the military, playing pool, right? Why would you want to show that and not what the military is actually meant to be?
No one has a problem. There's going to be some liberal in the comments saying, why do you have a problem with the mixed background? No one cares what race you're on the military. Nope. You know, like day 2 of basic training?
Everybody is treated like shit the same exact
light
way.
Green, you're mid green, you're dark, you're green.
That's it. We all bleed the same colors, red and green.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's weird to me. I don't know why we're doing this. And we're at the point where we don't have deployment ready units. We don't have combat ready units anymore because we don't have the people. We can't get the people. And we're a peacetime army now, which might not be for long, but we are currently a peacetime army.
We're definitely heading into World War III soon.
Yeah.
I already know. You've heard about
we're going back.
We heard about our ships being attacked over there in the Red Sea.
Wait, what?
You didn't hear about it this morning? Yeah, a couple of our battleships were attacked this morning. Well, excuse me. For us, it was this morning, but for them, it was probably evening time last night. But yeah, they were being attacked. They're not releasing what's happening. They're not releasing any information. They're not saying if anybody was lost. They're not saying if anybody was hurt, but they did say some battleships were attacked. We don't know what's going on. Eventually we'll know. But either way, Tiffany Hurd said, thank you for your service, Sean.
You're welcome. You know, I never know how to respond to that properly, but I used to say the same thing. You're welcome is my pleasure, but now my knees hurt.
And there's a website that somebody posted called Gallant. Oh, our host, I guess me. I guess I wrote gallantfew.org.
Should we type 988 in the comments? So
we should say 988 in the comments.
Yeah, I got it.
So we normally throughout the week live, not many people tend to watch my show, not live, but throughout the week, as more and more people start sharing, eventually a lot of people reach out to me and say, hey, can I be on your show? And sometimes we have people that all the way through to the last day are like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. And then literally the last day, something comes up and it unmotivates me.
Yeah.
You know, literally one of the reasons why I'm doing this is because Tiffany is always pushing for me to change it up, interact with you and other guests in different ways every single time. Try to make the show more, watch it evolve as it becomes bigger and bigger. I don't know if you've heard, but this show and other shows are going to be expanding soon. Say all because of the fantastic Tiffany. She is putting things into place that are going to make Johnson County and other surrounding counties, a place that people feel comfortable. Like people are getting informed, people are getting enlightened, people are getting uh, education.
Well, people are getting tired of the mainstream media, so they're
They
going to
are,
the local stuff.
and Tiffany is putting things
Yeah.
into place that
Yeah.
where people are going to feel comfortable going to Joco Radio or other radio stations that she's going to be in control of, and people are going to get proper information, everything to deal with everything that involves beauty pageants, weather, information about politics. You know, when it comes to the board meetings, things that happen in local politics. So the Tiffany said, "Thanks, guys. Just part of a team of great humans." I agree.
Wonderful person.
Well, she is
seriously.
a fantastic human.
Mm.
Did I ever tell you how I met her?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, one day, me and my wife were walking through this festival that used before it became what Old Town is now, and I was going through it, and I don't remember. I remember being super tired, and she was promoting her radio station when it used to be in Old Town before she moved to here, and I just happened to mention to her this show that I had done a while back called Vet for Vets, and she goes, "Oh, I love that idea. You should pitch it to me." But the thing is, I was always busy working, and eventually, for like 2 years, we just kept always passing information back and forth. I always listened to her on the radio. By the way, she has like the best voice for radio ever. But anyway, so one day I just happened to email her, say, "Hey, let's get this damn thing rolling." And then I pitched it to her. She's like, "Who's going to host it?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I figured you can find me a host." And she goes, "Why don't you do it?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? I have zero radio experience. I'm the producer type. I make shows. I make things happen." And she goes, "Just effing do it." And I'm like, "Fine, fine. I guess I'll study radio, how to talk, even though I still think I sound like crap. People tell me I sound okay on the radio, but I don't. I sound like the dork, the nerd that everybody that's watching on my Facebook remembers, you know, but whatever."
I mean, you got a great thing going here, I think. I believe that this right here is a solution for a lot of veterans, because you go from living in the barracks, always being surrounded by your guys, you know, and you get out and you're alone.
Yeah.
This kind of fixes that because you have that community.
My thing is, basically the way this all started years ago is I go to Walmart, I go to all these different places, and I always see these Vietnam vets, Korean War vets, Gulf War vets wearing these hats. USS Reagan, USS this, USS that, veteran of US, Vietnam, World War II veteran.
Gulf War.
And I'm like, I bet you these people have fantastic. She said, "Yeah, I'm overthinking it." Yeah, most of the time I am. About 99% of the time, I'm always overthinking things. But what happens is, I just wanted to know what these people are like. Imagine the amount of crazy, fantastic stuff that they've done while they were serving their military service. And then so eventually I had the show created out in LA. It was very successful eventually, but eventually nobody started watching and listening. And
Well, you're in LA. I mean.
Yeah, and eventually you're spending so much money on stuff that's nobody's watching or listening. Eventually you just have to cut off all of it. But the idea is there. And just having somebody like Tiffany who believes in the show, because her father is a war hero. Her father is a fantastic person, like an amazing human being. Like, he is the type of person you wish you could be. He's that type of guy. And Tiffany her and her sisters just happened to have that man as their father. And I've met a lot of crazy people, good people, honorable people here. I've met people who served a little bit of time. I've met family members. I've met Vietnam vets. I've met World War II vets here. I've met prominent people. And I tell you what, this show is, I really hope people that want to tell their story reach out to me. That's why I have this show, so people like you can talk about their grandfather who's no longer here to tell us the stories.
We need to archive a lot of these stories, this information, because we're losing these people. And I think we did an okay job at remembering the people who fought in, say, World War II, especially the shows like Band of Brother and the Pacific.
Oh, I love that show.
But we're now at this point where the Vietnam guys are drifting off. We're losing a lot of the Global War and Terror guys, the Gulf War guys. We're just losing people, and I don't think there's enough conversations happening, enough interviews happening to preserve those as well. Maybe we get sort of a Band of Brothers type deal for Vietnam in 5 years.
Well, I know they're doing one about the skies right now.
Okay.
They're doing a bunch of pilots, jet fighters and stuff back in World War II. Because I know they were trying to do a World War II theme. Then eventually they're going to move on to Korean and Vietnam.
Korea, that's another one. No one remembers that one.
Oh, no, I know.
Yeah.
I know. So Tiffany said he is about to turn 80. Her dad's about to turn 80 years old.
That's awesome.
Sean Goins, a Vietnam War vet as well, Purple Heart, and so much more. Absolutely. Uh, if you're listening to the show right now, I have quite a few. Ask a question. Sean and I will answer as best as we could. This is your chance to ask a veteran a question. You can ask something to Sean about his grandfather.
Yeah.
If anything you want to do, anything you want to ask him.
I could just kind of tell a story a little. Maybe that'll motivate some people.
Yeah.
He enlisted out of Fort Worth, did his basic training at Fort Polk, again, infantry, went to Vietnam. The man was riding in a helicopter in the middle of the Tet Offensive. And he gets shot out of the sky, and he flies out the helicopter, breaks his ankle, goes unconscious, wakes up, just grabs his M16, and goes to war. He's coordinating guys on a broken ankle, mind you, fighting, organizing a defense of some kind, middle of the Tet Offensive, which is one of the worst offensive to be caught in as an American soldier in any war. He got a Bronze Star from the American government, a Bronze Star from the South Vietnamese government, Purple Heart. And he came home, and he was just a comedian. He really was just a funny guy. And he didn't really start opening up about his PTSD or his stories towards the end.
Yeah.
He got dementia, or we had sort of early onset dementia, ended up having an aneurysm. It's what killed him.
Yeah.
But that last year and a half we had him, you could tell there was stuff there, and it really started to come out.
How do you remember your grandfather in your head?
Just silly, funny guy.
Just like the whole time you remember him?
Yeah.
Was he a good grandfather? Was he a tough grandfather?
He was a great
Was he like a
grandfather.
laid back, hey kid, come here, try this alcohol here while your dad or your mom was not paying attention? My grandfather used to give me glasses of wine. My mom and dad have argued with him, quit giving your grandson wine. My dad my grandfather, before he passed a couple years ago, he would always give me shot glasses of wine. He would tell me in Portuguese, one glass of wine is good. It won't kill you. It's good for you. Good for your heart.
It's very Mediterranean of him.
It's good for your heart, he said. I'm like, okay, whatever, The man spoke 7 languages, He was a really big inspiration to me, You're talking about your grandfather brings back memories of what I had of my grandfather, how an amazing man he was, how fantastic of a human being he was. And I wish I regret to this day that I didn't stay in touch with him more, Do you wish you would had been more in contact and in touch with your grandfather?
I was always really in touch. I grew up on Michael Street, and they lived on Celeste, which is 300 yards away, probably 400.
Oh, okay.
All in Burleson. And I'm really thankful for that, because I actually got to know my grandparents on both sides of the family. I even got to know some of my great-grandparents.
Oh, really?
I was very close to my great-grandmother, who was also a veteran in the Navy in the Second World War.
Your great-grandmother?
Yeah,
that's one hell of a story.
So she was a civil engineer.
Wow.
She drew maps. She ended up drawing the bombs for, I think, Hiroshima, the bombing maps.
Yeah. The route.
Yeah, the route. Yeah, she also incredible story. That's a whole nother show in its own right.
Yeah.
But my grandfather, he was just a comedian. He was a great guy, family guy. He could walk up to anyone, and he'd say, "Pull my finger." Okay. That was his favorite go-to joke. I think my grandmother was getting tired of the same old material towards the end.
Yeah.
After 52 years of marriage, the same jokes. He also had this thing where he liked to howl like a wolf.
Yeah.
And this is how we know his dementia was getting back, because he started doing it everywhere, including awake.
Nice. No, that's funny.
Yeah. And we joked for years. Yeah, he's kind of losing his mind. Maybe he's lost a little sanity. Towards the end, he's losing something.
Yeah.
I got some more stories too.
Yeah, time is the body's worst enemy. Nothing can beat time. And eventually you start thinking back to all your memories. I get emotional sometimes thinking about my grandfather, how so well he treated me. All the times he made me do things like, for example, he made me eat ice cream I didn't like. He almost made me throw up. Excuse me. But because he wanted me to try something new, So if you're, we're going to go to commercial break. My name is Angelo Rocha. This has been Vet for Vets. We're coming right back. Don't leave. Return. I want to see those numbers go up. Invite your friends. Turn on your devices. Go to tuneinjoko.com. Listen to me and Sean talk about our lives and their grandfathers. We'll see you in 2 minutes.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581. Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Welcome back. My name is Angelo Rocha. This is Vet for Vets. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you're just now tuning in, come back. Invite your friends, invite your family, invite people you might not even know. Share this. Share this on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, social media this, social media that. Just invite them to this show. I want to get veterans on this show, and the only way they can come on this show is by knowing what this show is actually, what this show actually is. I have with me, we're on this camera here, Sean. Well, I have with me Sean Goins. We're going to be talking about his life, his grandfather, and maybe even a little bit of politics. What do you think?
I'm all for it.
Okay, Bill, before we get started, I want to read this little letter for you, okay? It's very important that I read this to you because it's pretty much, it talks about what we are and what we do. Joco Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 24/7 on the TuneIn Radio Network. TuneIn Joco is the place to find all the ways to listen and watch. And the station app is also available for free on Android and Apple devices. Simply search your store. Check out our lineup and more at jococommunityradio.com. This episode and more are brought to you by Next Level Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep at 844-TEX-HAIL. That's HAIL. If you've got a southern accent, it's not HEIL, double hockey sticks, okay? That's 844-839-4245. Be sure to dress your arms and more at thetiffy.com. If you have a girlfriend, Sean, if you have a fiance, well, whoever you're dating, and you want to give them a little gift, thetiffy.com is the place you go because they got really cool little things. You'd have to.
My brother.
I've been there many times. That website is actually a really good website. Tiffany did a good job.
Yeah.
Highly recommended for you spouses out there looking for ideas to give your loved ones. So this is the second half of Vet for Vets. The first half we were discussing Sean's life in the military and his love for his grandfather and his memory. I'm going to tell you a little bit of something about myself, and then you tell a little bit of something about yourself. I grew up in Harrison, New Jersey. If you're just now listening, if you're watching me live on Facebook, I grew up in Harrison, New Jersey. That's where I grew up at. I wasn't actually born in Harrison, New Jersey. I'm actually an immigrant.
You jumped the border?
No, I did not. I wasn't an immigrant in the southern border. I was an immigrant all the way across the Atlantic Ocean in this beautiful, beautiful country called Portugal. Around 1987, my family, 86, 87, and a little bit earlier, decided to migrate to America because we wanted our family to thrive. Apparently, our family wasn't doing very well in Portugal. And everybody on my dad's side said, you know what? We're getting the heck out of this place. It's turning into a socialist shithole. It's literally turning into just the worst nightmare.
What it is now?
Yeah, what it is
Yeah.
now. And so we came to America, and I tell you what, this country has been so great to my family, to my family members, and I couldn't have asked for more. America truly is the greatest country in the world, and that's why I am a patriot. I am a pro-American, pro-immigrant, legal immigrant.
Mm.
I'm a pro police. I'm a pro fireman. I'm a pro everything of this country, pro life. I'm everything like that.
Mm.
And a lot of people know. That I'm a hardcore Trump lover. In case you don't, this is what they don't know. In case you're just now listening to me, you don't know who I
Hey,
am.
you don't got to win me over.
Yeah, I know. I'm a hardcore Trump lover. I'm a conservative. I used to be Roman Catholic, but I converted to Christianity. And I've been on the fence here and there because things happen in my life where I'm like, really, this is what you're going to do to me, big man, but I love him. I believe in him. I fear him. And one thing people don't know about me is I love talking to people. I'm a very personable person. Sometimes my wife says I talk too much. Back in high school, I was not a very talkative person. I had a really thick Portuguese accent, like a European accent. And people like who are watching me right now on Facebook Live, people like Joseph Cucci, he used to be a big supporter of me growing up. He knew I had a talent. He's the type of teacher that you want to have growing up. Teachers like Mr. Landy, told me to just keep your chin up, and get up and just always fight through what's going on. Eventually, you'll be on the good side of things.
Mm-hmm.
People like that. Miss Judy Fusello. Loved her growing up. I have teachers like that. And where I am at now to what I was 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I couldn't have asked for a better group of people in my life. Those are just 3 people in my life that I told you. Mr. Cucci, Mr. Landy, Miss Fusello. Can you at least name me 3 people that you have grown up that you, not family members, that inspired you to be who you are today?
Ooh, there's a lot. I got to think now.
Yeah.
We had a teacher at BHS.
Can you move in?
Oh.
I can't hear you. There you go.
We had a teacher at BHS. His name was Mr. Lynch. Former Marine, did some contract work in the Middle East. Decided to become a substitute teacher, then a full-time teacher. He was my history teacher for a while. He's the first guy that really made me start thinking outside the box. That played a big role in the way I think now.
Yeah. Were you quiet? Were you a quiet kid?
Oh no, quiet, but I like to raise hell. Anyone who knows me from high school knows I was always making remarks, mainly because I was bored. I was the definition or the walking example of the kid who just didn't care because he was always a grade ahead or whatever.
Yeah.
I was homeschooled and did private schooling. Then I went to a public high school.
Nice.
First 2 years, I didn't care. And then I went into the Army. I graduated early.
So Mr. Lynch, who's your other 2 that you can recall? Ooh. Maybe 2 people that were really positive impact. Believe it or not, my high school teacher, my former high school teacher, I believe he's retired now. He's been traveling the world nonstop. But Mr. Cucci, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
It's been a guy I've only known pretty recently, the past year, Stephen Swain. West Pointer, the whole thing, very much kind of filled that place my grandfather left. A lot of very grandfatherly, worldly advice.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to say he's still here. I always look forward to talking to him. I talk to him probably once a day.
Dang.
Yeah. It's a good third person. I come from a really tight-knit family.
No, I gotcha.
Immediately I want to say like my dad.
I probably have 20 people in my life that I grew up that motivated me to be who I am today when it involves being the artistic side of me.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the third person that's not family?
I would say my buddy Jacob Burnett.
Jake Burnett. Oh, shout out to Jake Burnett.
He introduced me to a whole new world. Yeah, he has a show, Let Freedom Ring, on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
He does. Shout out to that's a good little shout out.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Let Freedom Ring, starring Jacob Burnett.
he introduced me to a whole new world through his political involvement in JoCo.
Yeah.
So that was recent too. So I'm very happy about that.
What do you think about Jake? What do you think if you can close your eyes and you can see the future 10 years from now, where do you see him?
I don't know if he'll run for office again, but I definitely see him in the political scene as like a journalist, radio show host. I see his show really going places.
I see him in 10, 15, 20 years being a mayor.
You see? Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He
has that that mindset where he knows politics,
Mhm.
he knows his history, he knows his American history.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm telling you right now, if you are a Burlesonite or whatever town he decides to live in, wherever he's at, he'll be your man. He
Yeah.
will be a great political leader in the
He
spectrum.
had the guts to run for city council when he was 20, 21, I believe.
Yep.
I think he broke a North Texas record as far as youngest person to run for that office.
He might actually be the shortest as well.
Yeah,
Matt, he's going to be listening
I
to
think
this going,
he's
"Gosh,
watching
dang it."
right now. I think he's short, but he's got fighting spirit, and he loves
Yeah.
the Constitution. He loves America. He actually has a lot of good ideas too. He's not just running for the sake of running, and I think most Americans are tired of career politicians who run just to run.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a question here. I asked a lot of my guests here. What was the best time, happiest time you remember about the military?
That initial COVID lockdown, it was because we'd been on the border dealing with the cartel and training and whatnot, and we got back and we had a 2-week quarantine or whatever.
Yeah.
Because we had to be separated from everyone else because just all the stupid stuff. And that 2 weeks, our chain of command let us run wild. Not literally, we still had to keep things clean and whatnot, right? Professional. You're in uniform, but it was 2 weeks of people walking around the barracks in their underwear and their skivvies, basically flip flops.
You remember that? That was one of the happiest, like funniest moments.
Gotcha. Yeah, because you got to have a giant barracks party, but you're still in the army.
Yeah, one of the funniest moments I remember. One time we were in Iraq. We're in the middle of nowhere in Iraq. It was literally there's nothing. You look east, west, north, and south. There was nothing but desert and camels, right? And one day our units are parked in a circle because it's kind of like a like a patrol, right? Yeah. Everybody's facing outward, so that way in case an enemy's coming, they can all communicate. And one day on the radio, we hear this guy going, "This place is it's making me go crazy." On the radio, "This place is it's making me go crazy. I hate this place. It's making me go crazy." He's like, "I can't do this no more. I can't do this. I'm going crazy." He just kept doing that shit for like 10 minutes. "This place is making me go crazy." And the commander, high-ranking commander, gets on the radio. "Who is this? This is Commander blah, blah, blah." He's like, "I'm not that fucking crazy." But all I remember is everybody, all the people in the gunners, everybody on the turrets were just laughing and cracking up on the radio because it was like the funniest thing that ever happened. Because we were all stressed out because it was during the shock and all. We're in the middle of nowhere in Iraq. We got bombs dropping all around. We just didn't know. And then that guy literally lightened up the whole entire mood, all just because he was acting like he was crazy. Yeah. To this day, we don't know who it was because he sounded like a high-pitched like clown. Like, "Hello, this place is making me go crazy. It's good." But anyway, that was my funny story.
I was in the back of a Bradley. I was a jump gunner at the time. I was an E3, I believe, and I had the helmet, with the built-in mic. Yeah. And I hadn't slept for probably 3 days, more than 45 minutes. Like it was pushing that real level where you're starting to hallucinate. We were doing gunnery, and I don't know why, but I was falling asleep for like 30 seconds at a time when I was in the head bob thing. And I fell asleep one time, and I looked up, and I saw the digital clock we had in there with us just so we could see what time it was, and like 5 minutes went by. And I was leaned against the wall. The Bradley was pushing the mic activation, and I yelled, "I'm fucking time traveling back here," to the entire company.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so many fun times. If you're watching at home now or later,
sorry about the language.
If you are a high school kid, if you are a high schooler and you have no idea what to do with your life, you have no idea where your life is headed, just know that the military is not all bad. The military does do great things to your path, your career path. It does take you to places you never thought you'd be. I'm here today because of the military. Yeah. I would never, in my wildest dream, it doesn't matter what college I went to, even if I had never joined the military, I wouldn't have never ended up in Texas.
Yeah.
I've met some of the most incredible people in my life. I wouldn't have had my daughter if I hadn't been in the military. I wouldn't have met my wife in this railroad company I used to work for. I would have never met her if it wasn't for the military. A lot of things happen to good people who join the military. It's not all bad like sometimes you hear in the news. Sadly, the news reports things 99% of the time bad. You never hear about all the great things that the military does to the civilians in other countries.
I'll say this. If you're going to join, if you have nothing else to do, why not? If you're going to join, pick a job where you get something. Because I was just infantry. And, I had a lot of fun. I'm still infantry in the guard. And we need infantrymen. But we're in peacetime. If I could go back, having the ASVAB score I had, I would have looked at something in the communications field or technology.
Yeah.
I had a 110 GT score. You kind of have your pick of the litter at that point.
Yep.
So ace your ASVAB, pick a really good job that gives you a real skill.
Yep.
That's my advice.
So we're gonna go back to questioning
The
Sean
questioning.
Goins. Tell me one time in your life, military career, where it was the worst time.
Oh shit. Ooh. It actually in basic training.
Basic training?
Yeah.
What?
Because it was Fort Benning.
The
and-
beginning of the basic training?
No,
Because in the
very
beginning, it's tough.
Oh yeah, it's tough, especially infantry training. But at the very end, there was this freak winter flood or whatever. I don't know, because it was rain, but it was freezing as soon as it hit the ground. We had been a drill for probably 8 years at that point. Like he was going to retire as a drill sergeant. He was telling us, "I've never seen it this bad." We were doing those fighting positions. Though you're doing with those field training exercises.
Yeah.
We had guys literally catching hypothermia. That never happened. And once you get to this, what do you call it? The Marines call it the fleet, but central comm to the unit. Once you're in the actual army, that stuff doesn't really happen. But because of how disorganized and the training cadre wanted to make it as hard as possible, we had dudes catching hypothermia and whatnot. That was the first time I realized I could actually be harmed here.
Yeah.
And it was just miserable. But it was great too, because the drill sergeants just they went back to their own private tents with their heaters.
Yeah.
As long as we kept the patrol base up, it was fine. So for the first time ever in basic training, we're just BSing with each other. It's wow, we get to relax kind of for once. What sucks outside?
Nice.
It's -2 degrees, raining, but it's freezing while it's coming down.
Jake Wernett said, I loved going to visit Fort Hood and sleeping on base, hearing artillery guns at night. I love the sound of some good-sized American shells firing off. I agree.
Okay, do that, but for years.
Yeah.
That's that's why I have hearing damage.
Jake wants to thank me and you. You guys are both amazing. Oh, thanks, Jake. Appreciate that. And thank you for watching. If you're watching on Facebook Live, watching on YouTube, if you're watching on LinkedIn, if you're watching on other social media sites, go to jococommunity.com, or Joco Community Radio, or tuneinjoco.com, where you can watch this now or later, or listen to this now or later. You can, if you're listening now, we probably sound like angels. We sound good. Have you heard the radio? What Tiffany has set up is, if people like me can sound good on the radio, that means anybody can sound good on the radio. So if you're a veteran and you think you sound like this, like you're going crazy, I promise you, I can help you guide this chit chat you and I could have. People like Sean reach out to me because they want to tell their story, and I think his idea that he gave me was fantastic. Why not bring on family members who are not able to talk because they're either passed or they're just not the radio type. They're not the people that like to be interviewed. Maybe they can have a family member. People like Sean can talk about their grandfather, really great human beings that served their country proudly and did things that not many people can say they did, especially a war hero. Purple Heart. What else did he get? Bronze Stars?
He got 2 Bronze Stars, one from the South Vietnamese government, one from the American government.
Do you know how rare that is?
So he showed up to my turning blue ceremony. You get your blue cord, you're an infantryman, then you go to your unit.
Yeah.
It's your one special day in the Army, right?
Just one. Yeah.
He showed up and he was so decorated, the drill sergeant said, "You know what? Let him pin you." And that wasn't supposed to happen. I didn't ask about it or anything. They saw him.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, and they asked, "Hey, whose father or grandfather is that?" And I raised my hand. I'd like to say I was a quiet guy in basic training, trying not to get noticed, kind of scared. I was scared out of my mind being straight out of high school, right? I raised my hand, and one of my drill sergeants said, "You're shitting me. Really? That you're related to that?"
Yeah, you're after he saw what he saw for the last 2 months.
Yeah, right. And he said, Would you want him to pin you?
Oh my
and
God,
I said,
that's
"You know
fantastic
what?"
story.
Yeah, and this is the same drill sergeant who drove the rifles into my chest, the blood rifles. So that meant a lot coming from him. It's yeah, absolutely. And my grandfather, we're on they're on the bleachers, we're in formation. Drill sergeants are going through, putting on our blue cords. And my grandfather stands up and he takes his jacket off, or he starts walking up, and people tried to grab him, say, "You can't go up there, sir." And my grandfather, like a magician, threw his jacket off, just medals and ribbons.
Oh man.
And everyone just okay,
you're right.
and one of my drill sergeants recognized him. Was all right, and he pinned me. It was a very interesting moment.
That's fantastic.
And after that, I think it was the battalion commander for the training company or whatever doing the speech talking about our past 3 months of training, and I look in the back, you're supposed to stare straight when you're at attention, but I
Yeah.
look, I think like kind of the right. I see my grandfather shooting the shit with 2 or 3 of the hardest drill sergeants. These men scared the death out of me
I gotcha.
for the past 3 months. Like they were demons to me.
Yeah.
I knew I was gonna get fucked up if I even just looked wrong. If I was around, like these people scared me.
Yeah,
And
I've run into incidents like that.
Yeah, and they're giggling like little schoolgirls because my grandfather's just shooting the shit. And I literally saw him put his finger, say, "Pull my finger." Like I could knew what he was doing. I couldn't hear him say, it, but I knew what he was
Yeah,
doing.
you just know.
It was like one infantry guy 40 years ago talking to an infantry guy now.
So you miss him.
Yeah,
You miss him.
he was a funny guy.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, I have a younger brother,
What's his name?
Zach Goins. He's a realtor
Yeah.
now. He's kind of doing his thing around here. He's got a girlfriend, just going through life.
Good. What about your mom and dad? Are they both still around?
Oh
or-
yeah.
Good. You're still fairly young. I would hope so.
Yeah, I'm actually an orphan.
Makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense. No, you can't be an orphan.
No.
No way.
I'm too good looking.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
here's gonna be one of my this is the question I practically ask almost every veteran that's on here. Okay, Sean, especially you out there. If you this is a question for you as well out there in the digital world. If you are sitting somewhere and there's a child of young age, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, he's sitting in front of you or she's sitting in front of you, and she asks you, "Sir, what is a veteran and what does it mean to be a veteran?" What would you tell this child that maybe doesn't comprehend what an actual veteran is?
It's someone who stepped up to do a job that, quite frankly, no one wants to do. And you can probably apply that to first responders as well. It's a horrible job. There's great parts to it, but it is a horrible
It's
job.
a tough job.
Especially in wartime.
In time of wartime.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely.
But-
in time of peace, it's great to be in the military.
Yeah.
But in time of war, it's just
It's still rough in
nuts.
times of peace.
It is. But at the same time, you have people who aren't known to be heroic or people
Yeah.
who aren't known to be fantastic human beings end up doing things that you never thought they
Yeah.
would do. I saw it firsthand. There was this guy, I'm not going to mention his name, but this man literally dragged people from an overturned vehicle that was hit by AD. I saw him dragging people under gunfire all the way across the road to another vehicle, Humvee, to protect him.
Mhm.
And never in a million years that I would see that. I never thought I'd see that because I was watching it. I usually see that in films. You see James Bond is in a gunfight, and then all of a sudden his vehicle gets exploded, and then he drags whatever.
It's a scene out of the movie.
Yeah, whatever her name is going to be, just out of the scene. But in real life, seeing it, it's just incredible.
And I think there's something very special about being a veteran today as well, because our government is falling apart, and the military is part of our government.
Yeah.
So we're kind of the closest thing to a representative.
They've lost their way when it comes to veterans.
Yeah.
There are people like Donald Trump who are trying to help out veterans.
Yeah.
They're trying to create programs to help veterans go to healthcare all over America. There's a lot of veterans that leave this country because they feel like this country has left them behind. So they go to Canada, they go to South America, they go to Europe, they go to Asia, they go to the Middle East because they feel like America's not helping them any way.
And that's one of the reasons we can't recruit anymore. If people look at how their grandfather's been treated, I mean, my grandfather died of Agent Orange exposure ultimately.
Yeah, because
he had been battling that for decades and got no help whatsoever. If life had shook out a little different and he passed away because of that before I enlisted, I might not have enlisted, because just saying how they treated him, or rather didn't do anything to treat him at all.
Yeah.
That's another reason we just cannot recruit. And it's a horrible thing. We have so many congressmen and women who do nothing to help the people that are their.
A lot of them
veteran
just talk to
constituents.
talk. A lot of them talk to talk, but
Well, I
they
mean,
don't walk the walk.
I'm going to criticize both sides here.
Yeah.
Democrats hate veterans. I mean, come on.
Not all of them. Some of them are
Yeah.
veterans, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's like being a
Well,
hypocrite.
I'm talking about like the party members.
Oh,
not-
the leftists.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about the party members, the elected ones. Like they do not like veterans. Then you look at Republicans, and I've had people say this to my face: helping veterans is socialism. And I'm like, hang on. I understand that the government program leans into that, yeah. But if you don't help your veterans, there will be no one to step up next time we need them.
So now I got a question. When was the last time you remember a single mother who's struggling, who needs financial help from the government? When do you remember her serving this country? Did she actually do anything to protect, to do anything that positively takes this country forward in any way by serving this country? No, they don't.
Mm.
They need literal help from the
Mm.
government, because that's what the government was founded on.
Mhm.
People that need help are helped.
Yeah.
But they're also helping people that don't really need to be helped.
Yeah.
There's people that don't want to initiate. They don't have the initiative to just get out of that slump. They
Yeah.
just choose to.
I mean,
They
have
choose to sit on their butt and not do anything.
yeah, I have no problem with the government helping people. My
Yeah.
problem with the government helping people right now is they're not helping Americans.
Yeah, no, they're helping. Yeah,
Yeah.
America's not priority number one.
Yeah, we're sending all this money to the Ukraine. It's like, why?
It's like having an uncle who's rich.
Mhm.
You're struggling. You need some financing, right?
Mhm.
You need help. You know your uncle has been always good to you.
Yeah.
You ask him for money. He's like, no, I'm helping my foreign exchange student instead.
Yeah.
Do you know how upset somebody would be? And that's what's happening right
Yeah.
now.
Uncle Sam.
All of these homeless villages underneath overpasses in California, every single one of them is probably going to be freezing in this upcoming winter freeze. They're saying
Yeah.
it's going to be the coldest winter in American history. And you have these people that are going to be struggling, and while they're fighting to get heat, fighting to get food, fighting to survive in all of these states, the southern states, northern states that are freezing, people in Ukraine are going to get the money.
Yeah.
To pay for their heat.
Yeah.
They're going to get the weapons to fight against people that are going to possibly destroy their grid. Okay.
Yeah. It's
when we have people that are struggling here.
We have homeless people here. We have mothers struggling here. Most Americans are having to pick between gas and food right now. I am extremely fortunate. I live with my parents right now. I'd be a homeless veteran. It became very clear to me as soon as I got out of the Army. I was working multiple jobs and going to school out of Texas Tech. There was no amount of hours I could work to pay rent because of this economy. And it didn't matter how hard I worked, what job I did. It didn't matter where I was going to school, how much money I was getting from the GI Bill. Thank God I have the GI Bill to pay for school, right?
Oh my gosh.
I'm the privileged one in this situation because I have the GI Bill, which I earned. Now imagine being a regular young man. You got nothing going for you. You really don't right now, or a young woman. But we're going to hand out billions to Ukraine. We're letting people jump the border and have free health care.
I know.
That is an insult.
I know. I've heard this thing recently where they're giving out a bunch of free money. They're taking money from veterans, from the veteran fund. They're giving it to illegals.
Yeah, of course.
I heard that, and I was like, "What? There's no way that's true."
No, so
we don't know.
Veterans are the first one to step up to do a pretty bad job, or a rough job, I should say.
Yep.
We're also the first to get screwed.
Yep.
I don't know why the government views first responders like the state and local level, but at the federal level, veterans as that one group they can use and abuse, and for some reason they'll just take it.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of at the end of that taking it part. I really think that Donald Trump just drained the swamp movement. We're about to have sort of a critical mass moment in 2024.
I fully agree on that.
And I don't mean that violently. I'm just saying I think most Americans, even Democrats, thank God, are waking up and saying, you know what? We can't even help our own people anymore. Yep. We should not be inviting in the world. Let's take care of our veterans first. Take care of our single mothers first.
Okay, this show is about to end.
Oh, yeah, we got 30 seconds.
Yeah, we got about 30 seconds here. I just want to let you know out there in the digital world, my family, my friends, all the people watching now or later, if you are a veteran and you're looking to tell a story, reach out to me on social media, Angelo Rocha. Just look me up, and I'll find a date to bring you on the show, and you can tell your story here from Texas or out of the state. Doesn't matter where you're from. I would love to talk to you. Let people know who you are. I love you guys. Have a good night. And this has been Sean Goins. This is Angelo Rocha. Good night.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio. Attention all